boogity, boogity, get up on your feet.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of the DW Show. Do we have anything to talk about today? Anything happened at Texas that caught your eye? Maybe piqued your attention a little bit? Tony Stewart. It has to be, right? Tony Stewart, 4 wins out of the 8 chase races. He's won half of the chase races. And he and Carl Edwards, man, nip and tuck. Nip, tuck. And that's what Carl's doing. He's nipping away and Carl is tucking. I think Tony's got Carl on the ropes. Did you see the interview after the race? Tony all confident, and man, I got this thing. I got it right where I got Carl right where I want him. And Carl, he was kind of, he really looked like he was laying on the ropes. He was like, now, it's tight. We got a 3-point. I'd rather be leading by 3 than to be trailing by 3. But you could see that that Carl almost had that defeated look in his eyes. And I think when you look at the momentum that Tony Stewart has and the 4 wins, and Carl very consistent but not able to pull off any wins, and those bonus points Tony is getting has allowed him to be right there 3 points away from tying Carl and fighting for this championship. But here's what I don't want to have happen. Did you see Carl when the race was over with? He goes over, Tony's coming down pit road, he goes over, congratulates Tony. Don't do that. Hey guys, I don't want you sitting around a campfire, roasting marshmallows and hot dogs and singing Kumbaya, okay? I want to be, hey, this is serious stuff, man. It's big time auto racing. I want to see some rivalry. I want to see these guys going after each other. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be insulting, but you don't have to be buddies. Come on, man. It's a Ford and a Chevrolet. There's a great rivalry right there. And here's Carl and here's Tony. Come on. Let's show some emotion. Show some excitement. Show some compassion. Get out there and fight and use get in the guy's head. Being part of the game is the head game. And, don't just, I get so frustrated. Just be yourself. We know Tony, he's sharp. He's quick. He's quick. He can fire off those one-liners and he'll put you in your place in a heartbeat. Carl, well, he can be a gentleman. He can be a little laid back, but we know there's a fiery side to Carl too. Come on, boys, bring it. Bring it on. Let's go. You're racing great. 2 of you out on the track, selling on the track, but don't let it die. Don't let it die when the race is over with. Keep it up. Rivalries. I love rivalries. Speaking of rivalries, I guess it might be fair to say that Kyle Busch has a thing for KHI. That'd be Kevin Harvick Incorporated. There seems to be something going on there that's turned ugly, really ugly. And I don't have to tell you what happened Friday night. That was about as blatant of wrecking somebody that you're ever going to see, that I've seen in a long time in this sport. And I was disappointed. I was disappointed in Kyle. I bragged on the guy. Most of us have. A lot of fans have, so, I've turned the corner with Kyle. I'm starting to warm up to him a little bit. Friday night, huge setback. What he did to Ron Hornaday. Ron's fighting for a shot at maybe a championship in the Truck Series. It was just, like I said, very disappointing. And of course, NASCAR reacted by parking Kyle. And people didn't realize the difference. I tried to offer a little bit of an opinion on Twitter. When you park someone, there's no appeal. He's parked for the weekend. If you suspend someone, you could appeal that, and then that suspension you'd have to wait till after the race weekend before NASCAR would hear your argument. And so that's why they parked him. But I thought what NASCAR did to Kyle for his actions on Friday night, taking him out of the car on Saturday in the Nationwide race and taking him out of the Cup car on Sunday, was the right thing to do. The right thing to do because there's a lot of emotion involved in this. Hornaday was upset. Kevin Harvick's upset. Fans were absolutely irate. And so they had to do something. I thought what they did was the right thing to calm the situation at the time. Joe Gibbs was upset. He said the responsibility lies with me. I don't know if I'd want to hear that if I was Kyle, because if it lies with Coach, even though NASCAR fined him $50,000, put him on suspension or put him on probation, I don't know if I'd want Coach Gibbs saying the responsibility lies with me, that tells me he may have something in mind to punish Kyle a little bit more as well. So sponsor upset, owner upset, NASCAR upset, fans upset. You know, when you got that many things against you, you got really nowhere to turn. So Kyle had to go into damage control. He met with his team Sunday morning, apologized, sat on the pit box all day, watched somebody else drive your car. That's a bummer. Then he had to go Monday, I think it was, he went to Mars headquarters and apologized to the employees and the executives of Mars. A lot of things had to take place before Kyle races at Phoenix this weekend. They've taken him out of the Nationwide car on Saturday, and I think that's smart. Just let him focus on his Cup car. The problem he's going to have is tight track like Phoenix, you race close together, you're going to make some contact. And that's where NASCAR is really going to have to make, they're going to have to be the deciding factor. Was it intentional, unintentional, avoidable? That's the situation Kyle's going to find himself in. Be pretty easy to set him up, quite honestly. Set him up to where he would lose. Put him in a situation where he had to retaliate. If he does, he's done. And here's why he's done. Mike Helton told me, when we say that you're on probation, probation doesn't necessarily mean that it's a slap on the wrist anymore. And this one particularly, that he could be suspended indefinitely. So if he gets in trouble in the next 2 races, he could be suspended indefinitely. And indefinitely, and I don't know how that is in your world, but that's a long time in mine, and it's certainly a long time in a driver's world. So it was a bad weekend for Kyle Busch. And everybody's talked about it, and everybody's had their opinion about it. I'll just say that I think it's a career changer. I think if Kyle doesn't get his act together after this situation, he's in jeopardy of losing his ride, and he might even be in jeopardy of not even being able to race in NASCAR. And I think he's smart enough to know that he can't go there. So that rage that comes out of him when something happens on the racetrack, he has got to get that under control, or he's going to take a brilliant career and maybe one of the best drivers ever behind the wheel, and he's going to ruin it. And there's one guy that's ruining it, and that's him. You know, I talked about him being a great driver. You're not a great driver. You're not even a good driver when you don't respect the other competitors. You have to respect the competition. You have to respect authority. That's NASCAR. You have to respect your owner. That's Joe Gibbs. And you have to respect the other competitors. You don't have to lay down and roll over, but you got to give and you got to take. And you can't retaliate every time somebody bumps into you. You can't be a spoiled brat. I'm going to take my ball and run. I'm going to take my ball and I'm going to wreck you and I'm going to go home. That doesn't work in this. This is big time auto racing. It's not short track somewhere. So I love Kyle. He has energized our sport. He's polarizing. He's done for our sport what Dale Earnhardt and others have done in the past. But you can't take that emotion, compassion, and turn it into anger and retaliate against people on the racetrack every time something doesn't go the way you want it to. Kid's got 104 victories in all 3 series since 2003. You got to take a little bad with a little good. But you can't let the bad override the good, or you won't last in this sport. You'll be out of here. Richard Petty told me one time, he said, DW, you're going to lose all your sponsors and you got no fans, so you need to change your attitude. That was a wake-up call for me. Kyle, you're not going to have any sponsors and you're not going to have any fans if you don't change your attitude. Hopefully that's a wake-up call for him.